Hello, good morning everyone. How are you all? Hope you all are preparing for the upcoming CUET exam. Okay, and I welcome you all to the new session. So, আজি আমি এই sessionটোত কি কথা পাতিম? Today we will talk about some important MCQs from your book number 1, Contemporary World Politics. Okay, Contemporary World Politics. So there were a lot of people who were asking questions about the how to remember some important dates and events. Okay, so I thank them for their questions and for their doubts. So in this session I will try to answer all their queries. So without wasting any time, let's begin. Okay, so what the first question is saying? The first question is asking, identify the years in which American intervention in Vietnam took place. So do you all know what American intervention in Vietnam was? So what happened? You remember Truman Doctrine? So what is Truman Doctrine? So Truman Doctrine said about containment of communism, because during the Cold War what happened, there was two blocks. One was the capitalist bloc and the other was the communist bloc. So in order to contain the communist bloc, what America did, they launched something called as Truman Doctrine. So through this doctrine, what they were trying to do, they were trying to contain the spread of communism in different countries. So in Vietnam especially, there were two parts. Okay, one was the North Vietnam, and the other was the South Vietnam. Okay, so what happened? The North Vietnam came under the communist influence. And in order to contain communism or the spread of communism in North Vietnam and further to Asia, America intervened in Vietnam. So this is the crux of the entire event. So what the question is asking? The question is asking us that identify the years in which American intervention took place. So we know that American intervention in Vietnam took place in the year 1954 to 75. So it is said that almost 20 years, okay, almost 20 years have been devoted to this war. So now a lot of students, they find a lot of confusion in how to remember the event and also the date. Now let's say America. Okay, so in order to remember America, let's say we give it a name called Amy. Okay, you will remember Amy, or you can give whatever name you can relate to America. Okay, now we call intervention. So intervention, the word intervention, we can use a particular term to remember intervention. Let's say we have given interview. Okay, intervention we have referred to as interview. Now the next thing is there, Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam. So now you can say Amy went for interview in Vietnam. So like this you will remember. And now what will you do about the date? Let's say the date is given here 1954 to 75. Okay, now let's say if we write down this date, let's say 1954. Okay, 1954. Now how will you remember this date? So we will make a story out of it. Let's say Amy went for interview in Vietnam, but one night, let's say in one night she fought, okay, she has fought 4 people. Okay, so you will remember these kind of events and dates in this way. So it will be easy for you. Now you see, when we are trying to understand that American intervention in Vietnam took place in the year 1954 to 75, we are going to remember it as Amy went for interview in Vietnam, but one night she had a fight or fought with 4 people. So this way 1 will represent 1, night will represent 9, okay, fight will represent 5 and 4 will represent 4. So this way you can remember the entire event and also the date. Okay. Now let's move on to question number 2. See, the question number 2 is asking how many countries attended the first summit of non-alignment movement. So how many countries attended? 25 countries attended the first summit of non-alignment movement. Now how will you remember this? Let's say first summit, you can say first. Okay, in order to remember the word summit you can use sum. So first sum of non-alignment, so you can use this alignment, you can use as money. Okay, alignment money. Okay, first sum of money that she got was how much? 25,000. Who got? Let's say Amy got. So Amy, what she did? In the first question we learned that Amy went to interview in Vietnam, but one night she fought with 5 people. Okay, that's how we are going to remember 1954. Now when we are trying to remember first summit of non-alignment, what we are going to do? Let's say Amy's first sum of money she got was 25,000. So money will represent alignment, then sum will represent sum, of will remember of, and Amy, how much salary she got? 25,000. So 25 will be the first sum, the countries, the number of countries that first attended the first summit of non-alignment movement. Which one of the following statement is incorrect about LDC? Now you see the question is asking about to identify the incorrect statement. Okay, there are a lot of students, what they do, they don't read the question, what the question is asking. They directly go to the options and whichever options they find correct, they just mark it up. Okay, don't do this. What you have to do is first you have to see what the question is asking. The question is asking to identify the incorrect answer. So let's say least developed countries, LDCs. Okay, so what the LDCs did? We have learned about LDC in where? In New International Economic Order. So during the Cold War, what happened? Again, with the launch of non-alignment movement, there was another movement, what? New International Economic Order. Okay, there we have particular studied about least developed countries. So which of the following statement is incorrect? LDC gave priority to economic development of their country. It is very obvious, yes, they did, because when they first attained independence, they did not want to join either of the blocks. They wanted to concentrate on the economic development of their country, because most of the least developed countries were actually decolonized countries. Okay, now what the next point is saying, see, this point is correct. Okay, but we do not have to mark this because the question is asking us to have the incorrect answer. Now, LDCs are concerned about exploitation of their natural resources by Western countries. Yes, that is the reason why they did not want to join the blocks, because they know if they join the block system, if they join the block politics, then they will again be victim of exploitation. So that is why they did not want to join the blocks and they were concerned about exploitation of the resources. Now the third option is saying LDC demands the reduction in cost of technology from the developed countries. Okay, this one looks like so and so. Okay, it may be wrong, it may be right. Now we'll move on to the next one. All LDC countries were part of non-alignment movement. Now you see, if you have studied non-alignment movement properly, you will know that not all LDC countries were part of non-alignment movement. There were only few LDC countries which were part of non-alignment movement. So this statement is wrong. So you see, the question is asking us to find the incorrect statement. So our correct statement or our right answer in the question booklet will be this one, because this is the wrong answer and the question is asking us to identify. So if you are confused between C and D, then you leave C and you then move on to D. So if you are very much clear about this one, if you are clear about A also, if you are clear about B also, then you can leave out C and you can move to D. And you see very clearly you could find that the statement number D is actually wrong, because if you have studied non-alignment movement, then you will know that all LDC countries were not part of non-alignment movement. Okay, so the question was asking us about incorrect statement, so we found out the required statement. Now question number 4 is asking which one of the following country was not a member of NATO. Now this one is a tricky question, because if you have studied your NCERT book properly, you will know that there is a map given. In that map, particular countries have been located, okay, which countries were part of which block. So there you will find, see, the options are given: Finland, France, Britain and Norway. Now you see, you very properly, you must know very properly that France and Britain cannot be the answer, because France and Britain were already part of the NATO bloc, because they already sided with what? They already sided with USA under what? Under Marshall Plan. Okay, but now we are left with option number A and option number D. These two looks confusing. So if you see clearly, you will find that, you know, Norway and Finland, they very much look similar, you know, they very much look like they are not part of NATO. But if you have studied clearly in your NCERT book, you will find that actually Finland was not part of NATO. Okay, it was only Norway which became part of NATO, because when you will study Marshall Plan, then you will know that what Marshall Plan did. Marshall Plan actually helped the European countries to recover from the destructions of World War II. So under Marshall Plan, so many countries got what? Lot of aid and lot of money for reconstruction, but Finland was not a part of it. So we can say Finland at that point of time was not part of NATO. Okay. See how the concepts are related. If you have studied Marshall Plan, if you have studied Truman Doctrine, then you can answer all these questions very easily. Even if you find the options confusing, still you can locate your correct answer. The fifth question is asking the 17th parallel line divided which of the following country? You see the 17th parallel line. The 17th parallel line. So can you identify? I hope this question is very easy for you. And if it is not, I will just tell you the correct answer is Vietnam, because when America intervened, you know, south, there was what? I told you in the question number 1, there was North Vietnam, and there was South Vietnam, isn't it? So North Vietnam came under communist influence and South Vietnam came under American influence. And so because of the Cold War politics, North and South Vietnam got divided into two separate divisions under 17th parallel line. Okay, so under 17th parallel line. And then Korea was also divided, but Korea was divided under 38th parallel. Okay, and Vietnam is under 17th parallel. So your correct answer would be Vietnam. Okay, now which of the following arms control treaty banned nuclear weapon test in atmosphere? So the question is asking which of the following treaty banned nuclear weapons test in atmosphere. You see the first option is given nuclear non-proliferation treaty. If you have studied your book clearly, there you will know that nuclear non-proliferation treaty was introduced what? So that other than the 5 big powers, you know, the 5 big powers, who are the 5 big powers? The permanent members of the Security Council: Soviet Russia, USA, UK, France and China. So apart from those 5 big powers, no other powers should have nuclear weapons. So that is the point of contest between the big powers and the rest of the countries. So this was the reason why India also did not sign nuclear non-proliferation treaty, because India found the terms of the treaty very discriminatory. Okay, so non-proliferation treaty said that apart from the 5 big powers, no other power should have nuclear weapons. Then will come, so this is not our answer. So next we will come to limited test ban treaty. See, limited test ban treaty what it did. So there is a concept called global commons. Okay, global commons. I think you have learned this in your chapter number 6 or 7, which talked about environment, problems and politics. So there is a concept called global commons. So what global commons said, that there are certain resources in this world which belong to humanity, which no country can have individual claim. For example, ocean floor. Okay, no country can go and claim and say that ocean floor belongs to me, because it only belongs to humanity. Okay, it belongs to the world. It does not belong, it is not an individual property. Similarly, like ocean floor, there are other resources like space. Okay, no country can go and claim that space is mine. Okay, it is there for everybody. So limited test ban treaty, what it did, it banned what? Nuclear weapons test in atmosphere. Why? Because atmosphere does not belong to any individual country. Atmosphere belongs to the concept called global commons. Okay, so under atmosphere only you will get ocean floor, then you will get islands, and then you will get Antarctica. Okay, so these are the areas which belong to entire world and no country can have individual claim. So since the question was asking us which of the following arms control ban nuclear weapon test in atmosphere, the correct answer would be limited test ban treaty, because limited test ban treaty only banned use of or appropriation of nuclear weapon in atmosphere, and atmosphere comes under what? The concept of global commons. So since you got your correct answer, you don't have to read the rest of the options. So in exam hall also, if when you read the options, if you have got the correct answer, you just mark it up and no need to read the rest of the options. Okay, and comprehensive test ban treaty was made so that no other weapons, not nuclear weapons and neither WMD, cannot be tested. And then strategic arms reduction test was a strategic arms reduction treaty was used so that all the nuclear weapons or any kind of test has to be carried out through what? Through missiles and things like that. So that you cannot make missiles anymore. Therefore, strategic arms reduction treaty was signed for missiles like ICBMs, ABMs and things like this. Okay. So now, since we got our correct answer is number 2, limited test ban treaty, we will move on to question number 7. Okay, the Suez crisis or the tripartite aggression was an invasion in Egypt in late 1956 by 3 countries. Identify the correct combination of the countries that participated in the invasion. So Suez crisis happened because what? Nasser, okay, the leader of Egypt, what he did, he nationalized what? He nationalized the Suez Canal in 1956, and Suez Canal was actually, when it was nationalized, it meant that the Suez Canal cannot be further used for any commercial purposes. But at that point of time, France and UK, okay, France and UK was actually using the Suez Canal for commercial purposes, and the moment when Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, France and UK, it entered into a tripartite aggression with whom? With Israel. So your correct answer would be Israel, UK and France. These 3 countries, they made a combination and they attacked, they invaded Egypt or the Suez crisis, because Nasser, what he did, he nationalized the Suez Canal, which meant that the Suez Canal cannot be further used for any commercial purposes. Okay, so you got your answer. The answer is Israel, UK and France. Now what the next question is asking, assertion and reason. In the last live class also, I have discussed about how you should answer questions like this. You see what the assertion is saying, India's non-alignment policy was said to be unprincipled in nature. Okay, it is making an assertive statement that India's non-alignment policy was said to be unprincipled in nature. But while referring to an assertion, there is always a question why. Okay, there is always a question why, or there is always a question how. Okay, so in response to the question why and how, this reason is given. Okay, now we see that why India's non-alignment policy was considered to be unprincipled in nature. The reason is given. In the name of non-alignment, India often refused to take a firm stance on crucial international issues. You see now this reason is in conformity with the assertion. This reason is actually supporting this assertion. So when the reason will support the assertion, when the reason will answer the question why or how asked against the assertion, that means you can say that both reason and the assertion are correct. Okay, so we have to find which one is the correct. You see both A and R are correct, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So this is not, because R is actually answering the question why or how asked by the assertion. Okay, now let's say only A is true but R is false. This is also not our answer. And finally both A and R is true and R is the correct explanation of A. So this is our correct answer. Okay, so while answering these kind of questions, you always have to see what the assertion is saying, okay, and what reason it is being given. If the reason is actually answering the question or answering the statement which is given here, that means both are in conformity, and you can see that assertion and reason both are true and R is the correct explanation of A. So you always have to ask this question why and how. Okay, if reason does not match what, if proper reason is not there for the question why or how against assertion, that means you can say only A is true but R is false. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to question number 9. So this question I have specifically designed to answer the queries. You know, there was a student who asked me how to remember, you know, in chronological order. So there are certain questions I have given like Korean War, Cuban crisis, Soviet intervention, Afghanistan, unification of Germany. So before answering this question, I have taken the liberty to answer my student. So how you will remember this question? Let's say I will write some events. Okay, we will start from 1947. Okay, 1947, the time when Cold War actually started to happen. So 1947, you will remember this date. You know how? Because you can say that India got independence. So this way you will remember the date 1947. So let's start from 1947. First we will come as Truman Doctrine. Okay, then we will go Marshall Plan. Let me write it first. Then we will go Truman Doctrine, Marshall Plan. Then we will go Korean War. After that we will go Vietnam invasion. Okay, Vietnam invasion. Then we will go Hungary invasion. And then we will go Cuban crisis. Okay, Cuban crisis. And then after Cuban crisis, we will go to Soviet intervention in Afghanistan. Okay, now how you will remember all these important events? Now you see, let's say Truman. Okay, we will give this person a name. Let's say his name is Truman. Okay, he is a man. Okay, Truman. Now where is he going? He is Marshall. Okay, so we will write here March, M-A-R-C-H. Let's say the month March. Okay, what is he doing in March? He is selling. Okay, he is going to sell something. Where he is going to sell? He is going to sell in Korea. Okay, he is going to Korea to sell something. Who is going to Korea? Truman is going to Korea. So there after that what happened? He met someone. Whom he met? He met a girl called Amy in Vietnam. Okay, in Vietnam he met a girl called Amy. Okay, and then they fell in love. Okay, and then they got married in Hungary. Okay, got married in Hungary. You can say married. Okay, he married Amy in Hungary and he met Amy at Vietnam. So after meeting and after getting married, what happened? As usual, as cinemas used to see, what happened after getting married, after first meeting her and then getting married, what happened? You see here what is written? Cuban crisis. So we will say in Cuba they got divorced. Okay, why divorce? Because it is referring to a crisis. So this way you can remember. Okay, so in Cuba they got divorced, and then what happened after getting divorced? They both danced to a song called Afghan Jalebi. Okay, you remember the song na, Afghan Jalebi? I think this song was from a movie called Phantom or something. There was Saif Ali Khan and Katrina Kaif, I guess. I don't remember much. So there is a song called Afghan Jalebi. So now you see the order. See, true man, he's a man. He in the month of March, he went to sell. Where he went to sell? He went to sell in Korea. Okay, and there, after that, he went to Vietnam, and Vietnam, he met a girl called Amy. Okay, and after meeting her, they got married in Hungary, but after getting married, they all got divorced. They both got divorced in Cuba. That is why it's referred to crisis. And after what? After getting divorced, they both danced to a song called Afghan Jalebi. So this is how you are going to remember the order. So first will come Truman Doctrine in 1947. Then in Marshall Plan will come around 1948. Okay, Korea crisis will come around 1950. Vietnam will come at 1954. Hungary crisis will come at 1956. And Cuban crisis will come at 1962, and Afghanistan invasion will come around 1979. So this is how you are going to remember. If you don't remember the dates, you can remember it in this order. Okay, see, Truman, he went in March, he went to sell in Korea, and then he went to Vietnam, he met Amy, got married in Hungary, and then Cuba, they got divorced, and both of them, they danced to a song called Afghan Jalebi. Okay, so now I hope you remember how to actually answer these kind of questions. So let's find out what is the correct answer. So in this case, the correct answer would be what? You have to identify the wrong chronological order. Which is wrong? So we have discussed Korean War was 1950, Cuban crisis was 1962, Soviet invasion 79, and unification of Germany was around 1990, you know, at the point of disintegration of Soviet Union. So Truman Doctrine again will come 47, American intervention 54, Soviet intervention 56, and Richard Nixon's visit to China will be around 1972. Now Truman Doctrine, Marshall Plan, Berlin blockade by Soviet Union, and Korean War. So this one is 47, Marshall Plan is 48, let me write it, 47, 48, Berlin blockade is also 48, and Korean War is 1950. Okay, here also 47, here is 56, sorry, this is 54, Soviet intervention in Hungary is 56, and Richard Nixon's visit to China is 72. Then will come C, option number D you see, Marshall Plan, Truman Doctrine, Soviet invasion of Hungary, and Berlin blockade. So see, the order is not matching because Truman Doctrine should have come first, because it started in the year 1947 and Marshall Plan started in the year 1948. So this question is wrong, but this will be a right answer because the question is asking us to identify the wrong chronological order. So I hope it is clear how to remember these kind of events. Okay, so I will, here you will just remember Truman. He first went to sell in March, he went to Korea, and then in Vietnam he met a girl called Amy. They got married in Hungary, and then they got divorced in Cuba, and after getting divorced in Cuba, they both danced to a song called Afghan Jalebi. So this is how you are going to remember the entire events that happened during the Cold War. Okay, it will be very easy for you. Now last question is, sorry, the PPT is little, you know, this is my mistake, sorry. Match the following founders of NAM with the country they belong to. So what you have to do is you have to match the following. NAM means what? Non-alignment movement with the country they belong to. So let's say this is Nkrumah. Where Nkrumah belong to? Nkrumah belong to Ghana. Okay, so Nkrumah belong to Ghana. So you see the options are given here. What is the option given? So number A will be 4. So where is number A? Here number A is 4. Let's mark this option. So A is 4 is already matched. Then you see Gamal Abdul Nasir. Nasir, I told you, he nationalized the Suez Canal. So that means he belonged to Egypt. Okay, so B is 3. Let's say B is 3. So where is B3? See, here also it is matched. Now let's say Joseph Tito, he belonged to what? He belonged to Yugoslavia. So C is 1. Let's say C is 1. So is it matching? Yes. So you don't have to see whether Sukarno belongs to Indonesia or not, because your answer is already matched. So you can give the right answer B. So whenever you see the first combination, when you see the first combination that A is 4, wherever you see A is 4, that answer itself you can get it marked. You don't have to read the rest of the options, because the rest of the options what? A is 2, A is 3, A is 2. So you don't even have to continue with B or C. Okay, you only have to continue with A. You see A is 4, since 1 is already matched here, so your correct answer is there. So you can save at least 5-6 seconds there. Okay, so you don't have to continue like this. So you always have to first read the options, what the options are given. If A is 4, see A is 4, the question itself, the answer is itself answering it. Okay, so you don't have to continue with B, C or D. Okay, don't waste time in that. Okay, so this was our session for today. I hope you liked today's session, and if you have any question, if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me, and in the next session I will try as much as possible to answer them. Okay, so thank you, see you all again. Till then, take care, bye bye.